This is Algebra 1, Lesson 9, Inverse Operations. I'm thinking of a number. If I add 5 to that number, and then I divide it by 3, I get 8. Can you figure out what my number is? Let's just put a box for my number. There's my number. If I add 5 to it, get that answer, and then divide it by 3. Okay, so I'm doing this first, getting that answer, and then dividing by 3. I'm going to end up with 8. What was my number? Well, this lesson is about inverse operations. And you can use inverse operations to find my missing number. If you want to work backwards, instead of dividing by 3 here, you could come over here and multiply by 3. Okay? And I would get 24. And then instead of adding 5 here, I could subtract 5 here, and I'd get 19. So let's try that and see if it works for my number. I'm thinking of a number, it's 19. If I add 5 to it, I get 24. And then I divide it by 3, I get 8. And that's what it says. So this isn't a Saxon problem. I just have heard several of these little riddles and things you get. There's little games where they tell you to think of a number and do all these operations to it, and then they can guess the number that you get in the result. And that's because of inverse operations. So let's talk about that a little more. If one operation, and when I talk about an operation, you're used to using adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. If one of those operations will undo another operation, like we did here, they were telling us to divide, so to work backwards, we multiply. They undo each other. The two operations then are called inverse operations. So here's another example. If I start with 7, and then I add 3 to it, and then I take 3 away, what do I get? Well, 7 plus 3 is 10, and then if you take the 3 away, you end up back at 7. These two are inverse operations. They undo each other. It's kind of like you had $7, and then I gave you $3, and then I took away the $3. It's like I didn't do anything at all, right? Here's another example. If I have 7 times 2, and then I divide it by 2, let's see what we get. 7 times 2 is 14. And then 14 divided by 2 is equal to 7. So we can see here in the first example that addition and subtraction are inverse operations. And in the second example, we can see that multiplication and division are also inverse operations. They undo each other. And we can use that to help us when we are solving equations and all sorts of things later that we're going to be doing.